Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I'm going to be reacting to one of Jessica Kent's recent videos in which it made me feel so much empathy and just so much, like so many different feelings, and I wanted to react to it here, and I wanted to show sort of the fact that what she is saying is like so sad that us abuse survivors have to go through all of that stuff. So I'm going to be reacting to it as a fellow abuse survivor.
And trying to remain so strong. I know it's good if I'm alone. I got it.
So the video that I'm going to be talking about today, I'll leave the direct link to the video in the description box down below, but I will also be putting in little clips of the video just to kind of put in and describe what I'm talking about throughout this video. But I'm going to be talking about it from a fellow abuse survivor and basically just empathising with Jessica and just what she's going through. And Jessica, if you're watching this, which I highly doubt that you are, but if you are, then my name is Deanna. You encouraged me to start and to try and make my dream come a reality by becoming a YouTuber. You're strong, and what you're going through is completely valid for what you're going through, like if that makes any sense whatsoever. I am going to be reacting to this as a fellow abuse survivor, so no hate here, just showing that what we go through as abuse survivors is horrible, and just kind of reacting to what you're saying because it made me feel quite deeply about what you were saying. So I'm coming at this video from, and I'm reacting to Jessica's video from a fellow abuse survivor. I do have some differences to Jessica, so I was never in technically a relationship that was abusive, but I was in a situation that was kind of a friendship abusive and was both sexually and both physically abusive at times. So I wanted just to come at this from just a general abuse survivor and to react to how Jessica is in the video, and as I said, only love, no hate. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So from the get-go, Jessica, I'm sorry you went through this. It's hard to react and to kind of react in real time to your abuse. A lot of my videos that I make are post-abuse. They're post, you know, having therapy. They're post, you know, getting the help that I so desperately needed from having the abuse. Let alone, I cannot imagine reacting in real time to the abuse that you are suffering. I really do feel for you, and as I said, I'm only sending love, and I wish I could give you a massive hug and tell you it's going to be okay, because in the end it will be. And you are just such a strong individual, and going through what you're going through is tough. It is gonna be hard, and the things you speak about in this video really resonated with me and brought up feelings that basically made me want to react to your video.
Before I get into all of that, I do want to give just a little quick recap. The Ride or Die crew has grown like 11,000 in a month, so welcome to the channel. I
also want to congratulate you for the 1 million subscribers. It is absolutely amazing achievement, so well done. I cannot wait for you to get, I think you get a 1 million plaque, I think. So yeah, order your plaque, girl, and get that up on your wall, because that is an amazing achievement. You should be so proud of what you've achieved and how much you inspire people. So yeah, just keep going, keep doing what you're doing. And although in the video you do sit down and you do say subscriber count doesn't matter, and it doesn't, because I say to myself that my main goal is to inspire people. So if each of my uploads, if only one person from each of those uploads is inspired by what I've said, then I've done what I've done and set out to do. Like one of my last videos, or one of my videos that I recently filmed, which was about me having a panic attack at work and basically just being real with you guys. And yeah, I'm still in awe by the response that I got from that video. I filmed that video thinking no one's gonna want to hear about my silly little panic attack, although it's not silly, but you know, that's what I kind of thought that other people would think, that me talking about my panic attack is kind of silly and trivial. But in actual fact, there was a comment on that video, and it was basically saying that thank you for being so real, raw and honest on the video. And that comment made me smile, right? And I sent screenshots of it to my friends, and they all just was like, you're doing it, you're doing what you've set out to do. And I was so proud of myself just in that instant moment. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and keep reacting to Jessica's video because it does like bring some very important points.
Was I right to leave? Absolutely. Did I question it a million times? Before, during, after? Yes. Have I always reacted in the best way? No. Have I done things that I regret throughout this process? Yeah. And I am really freaking hard on myself, and I'm trying not to be. I'm trying to give myself grace and the time to heal and space to process everything that has happened. And
it's not as simple as once the trauma or abuse stops, that the person that's suffering the abuse, it just goes away, because it's not as simple as that. Not as simple as that for everyone. For me, I was fairly lucky with my abuse. So my abuser, once he got caught by the police, he kind of just disappeared, and I never heard from him again. I had some minor little bits of contact, you know, through other people, but I never actually received contact from him again. And yeah, I don't know, I was fairly lucky in that instant, because I've known people whose abusers just haven't disappeared, and I really feel for them, because it must be hard.
The truth never dies. Abusers re-abuse. Personalities rarely change, and
I'm just going to pause the video here, because I believe that Jessica is incredibly strong for what she's going through. Not only is she a survivor of domestic abuse, domestic violence, but she is also looking after 2 young children, and she is in recovery from her own substance abuse. And I'm sorry if I'm using terminology wrong, but is it substance abuse or substance misuse? I'm not entirely sure what the proper term is. So if you know, leave a comment down below, because yeah, I'm not entirely sure what the technical or proper term to use is. To go through all of that and to then be as strong as you are is absolutely incredible. Like, I myself went through the abuse that I suffered. I was quite lucky and fortunate in a way that I never abused a substance. Yes, I turned to self-harming. That was like my vice, my coping mechanism, my way of coping through everything. But the thing is, I was self-harming way before, like, I was abused. I was also self-harming way after I was abused. So my self-harming was not just relating to the abuse, it was also relating to a lot of the previous mental health difficulties that I had and still have to this day. But I am so glad to say that I am over 3 years into my recovery, free from self-harm, free from attempts, and I have never felt more myself in my life. Yes, I still have trouble. Yes, I still have issues where, like, I have panic attacks at work and I cry and break down, and I have times where I feel like I can't manage. But in actual fact, I can, and in actual fact, I am managing.
And I want to be honest and fair and transparent, just like I always have. And it's really loud and messy right now, with a lot of people jumping in and having opinions about my life. Like, it's not a show, it's not a reality show, this is my life and this is what I'm going through.
So just pausing there, I will say that I have seen some of the like rumours that have gone around about Jessica, and I have seen some of the hate that she's been getting. Although this video is only love, because I would never want to spread hate against anybody. So I really do feel for, you know, obviously the big challenge with having a bigger platform is that you are going to be subject to more hate. You're going to be subject to having more issues in that sense. I don't want this video to come across as opinions, because I'm really not trying to make an opinion on Jessica's life. You know, what she is going through is just similar in ways to what I went through, and I'm just reacting basically and talking about what she's talking about, and then sort of relating it to my own experiences, which is literally the only thing that I'm trying to do in this video. I would never want to cause any sort of opinions to, you know, impact anything that's going on in her life. And even though content creators such as myself, such as Jessica, we put our lives online, we talk about things we go through, we talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, it does not mean that we want opinions on what we're doing, because opinions sometimes can be helpful and opinions can sometimes help what we're doing. Like, if, for example, I say in a video, leave a comment down below if you've had this experience yourself, or leave a comment down below if you've got a suggestion. That is different than just taking it off your own back and trying to make opinions.
Yeah, I left, but he is not changing. The cycle has not changed just because I am physically separated from that person. The emotional abuse is still very real. There is some financial abuse that he has done, is still trying to do, keeping me wrapped up in court. The abuse is ongoing. He is not changing. The cycle is not changing. I have to be the one to change and to put the work in and to heal.
That is amazing. So I watched that and I was like, me too, girl, me too. Like, the fact that you are just being so open and honest is commendable. I hope to be even a 10th or a 20th of what you're doing right there. And I hope to also inspire even 10%, 5% of the people that you are inspiring through this video. You are doing such an amazing job at still being in recovery, even though you're going through all of these struggles. And when you said, did I do the right thing by leaving? You absolutely did. And you said you did, but you know, you absolutely did. But I also can relate to the fact that it is so hard to leave a situation like that, because people from the outside that don't or haven't ever experienced abuse will see it as, well, that person's being mean to you, or that person is abusing you, so why don't you just leave? But the truth is, well, most abusers aren't always abusive, right? They can be nice, they can be charming, they can be helpful, they can be kind, they can seem these things. And as somebody that has been abused, I've had that experience. I've had my abuser be nice, be kind, do things for me. And that's the hard thing when you're being abused, because you see the good, but you also see the bad, and you also see the ugly about this person. And you're constantly asking yourself in your head, is that person just reacting normally? Is this really abuse? And you start asking that sort of stuff in your head. And the truth is, if a person is lashing out at you physically, if they are abusing you sexually, then it's abuse. Like, I took ages when I was younger and when I was going through my abuse to actually realise that it was abuse, because my abuser would tell me multiple times that it was not abuse, and he would say to me that, you know, what he was doing was for a valid and good reason, when in actual fact there's no valid or good reason to abuse somebody. And part of my story is because I was 17 when he started grooming me, and then I was 18 when he actually sexually abused me. I was quite naive in the sense. I was quite naive to believe that what he was doing was for the good and for the better. And I believe that a lot of my naivety played into how long he was able to keep this a secret. I'm quite lucky in the sense that my abuse lasted about sort of 6 to 8 months before I told somebody. The only reason I told somebody was because I was asked. I didn't kind of leave or tell anybody about the abuse because I'd realised it myself. I realised it because somebody questioned it. I realised it because one of my friends at the time said to me, is this person hurting you? And it took me a while, and initially I turned around and said, no, he's not hurting me. And then I thought about it for about an hour, and then I came back to her and said, yeah, he is hurting me. And I wouldn't have come to that conclusion myself, and actually to this day I do thank that person who turned around and said to me, you know, is that person hurting you? Because without that person saying that, I probably, you know, wouldn't have gotten out of the abuse as quickly as I did. So if you're watching this, thank you, because, you know, you made me realise that what he was doing was wrong, and ultimately what he was doing was hurting me, and it wasn't caring for me. But abuse survivors and people that are going through abuse will see every element of that abuser, and 9 times out of 10, most abusers do not abuse every single minute that they're with their victims. Usually abusers, especially, you know, domestic violence, or especially people who are getting sexually abused, a lot of the time that abuser will groom them, and they will groom them and make them feel special. And for my abuser, that was taking me on day trips and buying me expensive gifts, and you know, it made me feel special, it made me feel loved, and it made me feel wanted. And then because they've done all of that, and because they've made you feel all these amazing things, them abusing you just kind of almost seems like that's what you just do, because they will wrap it and they will twist it and they will manipulate you to think that what they're doing is for your benefit, or they'll make you sort of believe that what they're doing is okay. Coming from a fellow abuse survivor, I am so proud of you, Jessica, for getting out of the situation that you were in, and I am so proud that you realised that and you got yourself out of that situation. I think Reese had us all fooled. I think that, you know, there was probably some people who saw through him, but even when he was on videos on your channel, I did not see an ounce of him being abusive. And that is the thing. When you think about that, when you look at people from the outside perspective, when you see a video of someone on YouTube and you see 10 to 15 to 20 minutes of their life through a video, an abuser can be nice for 10 to 15 to 20 minutes, or even half an hour on a video. They can be nice, they can be thoughtful, they can be kind. It's behind the scenes behind closed doors, behind the curtains, when the camera is off, that the abuser will take advantage of that person.
I have already filmed a video kind of outlining the timeline between January and March, the timeline of a lot of the drama that was, being said about me online. And I sat down and I filmed it. And I know that people are going to be like, why did you take so long? The reason is I am not going to be rushed into filming a video I'm not ready to film.
Take all the time that you need. If you need more time to process the trauma, and if you need more time before you put out this video that you've just mentioned, take the time that you need. It took me years before I started properly talking about my trauma and my abuse, and that was only after therapy. And he won ultimately. Like, my case with the police was deemed as not enough evidence, so actually he was never charged for the abuse that I suffered. And I spent a long time trying to come to terms with the fact that I was never going to get justice for what he did to me. And one of the biggest things was that I wanted justice, and I wanted some form of, like, almost my brain was working where he did something wrong to me, so he should be punished. And in reality, obviously it's not as simple as that, but in my mind, I wanted him to be punished, and it took me so long to accept the fact that he was never going to be punished, and that because the case had been closed, he was going to get off a free man. Yes, he would probably maybe still have, the allegation of sexual assault on his record. I don't know how it works, but yeah, it was a bummer to get that letter, to appeal it, to then get the same answer, and to basically have to consider, do I go to court about it, or do I just, not do anything about it and just learn to process it myself and get the therapy that I need to get over it? Because I was advised that even if I went to court, I probably wouldn't get the answer that I wanted, because there actually was not enough evidence.
Yeah, I left, but he is not changing. The cycle has not changed just because I am physically separated from that person. The emotional abuse is still very real.
So one thing that I've learned in therapy, which is exactly what Jessica is saying right there, is that you can control your behaviour, but you cannot control somebody else's behaviour. You cannot change how somebody else will react to what you do, what you say, and how you act. And I'm just starting to learn that. And even though I know that in the back of my mind, it's hard to apply it to everyday life. And what Jessica is saying there is that, she cannot change who Reese is. She cannot change that he will be who he is and how he is, probably at least until he gets in recovery from his alcoholism. But he might even be, like that for the rest of his life. And as an abuse survivor, coming to terms with the fact that you can't change that person, and it must be even harder for somebody who's in a domestic violence sort of situation, because you fell in love with a person, you fell in love with that nice person, and to basically still have feelings towards that person, but to not be able to do anything about it, and to not be able to change that person to become that nice person that you fell in love with, must be so hard. Because I can do without my abuser. My abuser was only almost like a friend to me, but to have a relationship that you've gone into, that you've fell in love with a certain person, and then to have to learn to live without that person that you loved, must be so hard. Like, I can't even imagine how hard that is. So literally, I want to hug you, Jessica, and tell you it's going to be okay, and I want to help in any way I can. So yeah, I relate to it on a certain level, of course.
When I met him, I thought I hit the lottery. He hung the moon to me, and I thought he was amazing. And all of the reasons why everyone likes him, those are the same reasons that I fell in love with him. He's smart, he's funny, he's charismatic, he's charming, he's tough, and has a million crazy stories.
And that's what abusers do. So for me, my abuser wrapped me around his little finger by grooming me and by giving me the world and making me think that he was my friend and all these different bits and pieces. And then as I was this puppet that's in front of him, he was able to then do what he wanted to me and make me feel like what he was doing to me was okay, and make me feel like what he was doing to me was fine, and it was just normal. And on top of that, me not really having a great knowledge about friendships, and me not really having a great knowledge about what friends should be and how they should act together, kind of fell into the situation where he just used that to his advantage. And I feel for the fact that Jessica is saying that, he gave her the world, and that is what abusers do ultimately. And I'm not going to sit here and say that, you know, obviously because I don't know Jessica's life fully, obviously I'm just reacting to what she's saying, but abusers in general groom to abuse, and the whole point of them grooming is to make you fall in love with them in some sense. So for me it was to fall in love with him as a friendship sense, and for Jessica it seems like it was to fall in love with him just romantically and to have that romantic relationship. For me, my abuser was abusive all the time. Once he had groomed me to make me feel like he was safe and he was a friend, he abused me all the time. He would abuse me several times a day, sexually, I mean, and he would abuse me physically I think, so the physical abuse that I experienced, I believe that was as a direct result of him believing that he was close to being found out, and that was his reaction to try and scare me into not telling anyone. And so I didn't actually experience a lot of the physical abuse. I only experienced a small portion because then I told someone and I got out. But if I hadn't have told someone, I don't even want to imagine what it would have been like. So if you've made it this far in the video, then thank you very much for watching. If you like this sort of content where I react to other YouTubers that are telling personal stories, then please give it a like, because I actually would love to do more of these, but giving it a like tells me as the content creator what sort of videos that you like to see. So give it a like if you liked this video, and if you want to see more content like this, then please consider hitting the subscribe button. But please don't forget that I believe in you, even if nobody else does. And I shall see you in my next one. Bye.
Just like you're young again, no, don't you cry. Just get back up again.